Hi, I'm Geoffrey Coram, candidate for school committee. Welcome to the second video segment for my campaign. In this segment, I'm going to address a question that was submitted for the candidates forum on March 3rd, but was not addressed that night. How would you respond to a parent who expresses concern at a school committee meeting regarding increases in special education costs and indicates a hope that, quote, we are able to stay on top of these increases? I apologize for the delay in getting this video out, but I wanted to be sure I gave a solid answer with full context. Special education is a very important topic, and if it affects your child, it's going to concern you if it sounds like someone isn't supportive. This question was targeted at me because actually I was the parent quoted. Let's listen to the full excerpt.
So if anyone has any comment for the public hearing, I would invite them up and state your name.
Thank you, Ms. Webb. My name's Geoffrey Coram. I live on Ridge Road. I'm very glad, having been a budget parent for the past couple of years, I'm very glad to see a budget that Dr. Doherty can recommend, that we're not seeing huge cuts. I'm especially glad that we could accommodate all the new teacher contracts within the funding available. That it was very important to get those contracts done, and I'm glad we did them, and I'm glad that they didn't break our budget. I am concerned about the special ed, and particularly the increases that we're seeing. I appreciate the difficulties in projecting those costs 6 to 18 months into the future, and I hope that we're able to stay on top of those and that the increases that we see that are not under our control in particular are manageable as we go forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coram.
This was during the fiscal year 2020 budget discussions in January 2019. The first budget developed after the override in the spring of 2018, which I followed closely as treasurer of Yester Reading. During those override discussions, there was a proposed restructuring, which was suggested would help the district get ahead of special education costs and commit more robust support to our students who struggle in different areas. It would have added a combination special education team chair and assistant principal for each of the elementary schools. At the time, most elementary schools shared a team chair. You can see that proposal in the January 11, 2018 presentation about 2 hours into the RCTV recording. This team chair was supposed to help identify and intervene earlier, which could prevent a student from falling behind, and also help recognize what programs need to grow or be created in district to avoid out-of-district placements, which are not only expensive, but also result in the students needing to attend schools outside the Reading Public School District in order to obtain a free and appropriate public education. However, they often lose connections to their neighborhoods, friends, and the wider community. An out-of-district placement is carefully made by the student's team when the Reading Public Schools cannot provide appropriate services, and is both a legal and moral obligation we have to our students. Unfortunately, the Select Board set a lower amount for the override, and this restructuring did not fit in the revised budget. Thus, while I was happy that the FY20 budget did not show cuts and we were able to accommodate all the new teacher contracts, I was concerned that we were missing this opportunity to proactively address special education needs. This was the basis for my question to school committee. I'd also like to dispel the myth that I don't support special education. Let me read a paragraph from my candidate statement. The most significant action during my tenure on school committee was a vote to ratify the selection of Dr. Jennifer Stice as Director of Student Services. She presented herself as a collaborative administrator, and I believe her first year and a half on the job has fulfilled that promise. Her recommendation to add the special education literacy coach to the budget for next year fills a clear need for the district. I look forward to working with Dr. Stice to further address special education needs. I will note that Dr. Stice was recently given the title of Assistant Superintendent for Student Services, which I think indicates that her first 2 years have fulfilled the hopes and expectations the whole school committee had for her. We have seen her undertake a meaningful review of in-district programs and bring in crafting minds as a consultant to recommend improvements. From a budget standpoint, when a particular item grows at a rate greater than the 3 to 3.5% growth in total town revenue, that item needs focus, whether it is health insurance or special education. We need to plan ahead, either by improving early intervention or by addressing the significant shortfall in promised state and federal aid for special education. For example, in this slide from the FY19 budget discussion, we see a $200,000 decrease in circuit breaker funding because the state did not fully fund circuit breaker reimbursements for special education, which aren't that generous anyway, comprising only 75% of the special education costs that exceed 4 times the state average foundation budget. If elected, I know my responsibility is to ensure the needs of all students are met. I believe that forecasting future expenses is part of that responsibility. Thank you.